Warning: 8 signs you should cut ties, even with family or friends. Stoic philosophy. Imagine this. The people closest to you are supposed to be your source of strength, your refuge, your circle of trust. But what if the very people you call family or friends are the ones draining your peace, sabotaging your growth, and weakening your spirit? Stoic philosophy teaches us something powerful. You are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Great thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca never taught blind loyalty. They taught virtue, discipline, self-respect, emotional independence, and sometimes that means walking away, even from those who share your blood. This message may be uncomfortable, but it might also be the freedom you've been waiting for. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to hear could save you years of emotional damage. And if you value wisdom that strengthens your mind and builds your character, make sure you subscribe to this channel right now. We create content designed to sharpen your thinking, deepen your discipline, and help you live with stoic strength. Join this growing community of modern warriors committed to inner mastery. Now let's begin. There are relationships that sharpen you, and there are relationships that slowly poison you. The Stoics believed your environment shapes your character. If you surround yourself with chaos, manipulation, negativity, and disrespect, you will either absorb it or spend all your energy fighting it. If someone constantly disrespects your boundaries, that is not love. Boundaries are not cruelty. Boundaries are clarity. When someone repeatedly ignores your limits, your time, your privacy, your values, they are communicating something dangerous. Your comfort does not matter to them. A Stoic understands that self-respect is non-negotiable. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. If you keep forgiving the same violation without consequences, you are training them to continue, even if they are family. Especially if they are family, because blood does not excuse abuse. Another sign is constant manipulation through guilt. Some people don't control you with force, they control you with shame. They remind you of what they've done for you. They weaponize sacrifice. They make you feel selfish for wanting space. Epictetus warned that you are disturbed not by events, but by your judgments about them. Manipulators exploit your fear of being seen as ungrateful or bad. But gratitude does not require self-betrayal. You can appreciate someone's past help while refusing their present toxicity. If someone only keeps you close through guilt, that relationship is not built on love, it is built on control. Another powerful warning sign is persistent disrespect disguised as jokes. They insult you and call it humor. They belittle your dreams and call it realism. They mock your growth and call it honesty. But real friends protect your dignity. They do not chip away at it. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the importance of maintaining your inner citadel, the fortress of your mind. When someone repeatedly undermines your confidence, they are attacking that fortress. You are not required to laugh at your own humiliation. If someone feels threatened by your improvement, they may try to keep you small. And if they cannot celebrate your growth, they do not deserve front row seats to your future. Another sign is emotional exhaustion after every interaction. Pay attention to your energy. After spending time with them, do you feel calm, supported, and clear-minded? Or do you feel drained, anxious, and mentally heavy? Your body often recognizes toxicity before your pride does. Stoicism emphasizes awareness. If every conversation becomes drama, if every visit becomes tension, if every call becomes conflict, that pattern is not coincidence. Peace is not too much to ask for. If someone consistently disturbs your tranquility, you must question whether access to you is still deserved. Another sign is repeated betrayal. Trust, once broken, can sometimes be rebuilt, but repeated betrayal is not a mistake, it is a pattern. If someone repeatedly lies, spreads your secrets, or violates your trust, you are not obligated to keep giving them chances in the name of loyalty. Seneca warned about keeping company with those who corrupt your character. A person who betrays you repeatedly shows a lack of virtue, and Stoicism is rooted in virtue. Without trust, there is no foundation, and without foundation, the structure will always collapse. Another sign is when someone discourages your discipline and growth. You decide to wake up earlier. They mock you. You choose to focus on your goals. They call you obsessed. You begin setting boundaries. They accuse you of changing. Of course you are changing. Growth looks like betrayal to people who benefited from your weakness. Stoicism is about becoming stronger than your impulses, your fears, and your past. If someone actively resists your evolution, they are not aligned with your future. Not everyone is meant to grow with you. Some people are only meant to meet the version of you that no longer exists. Another sign is consistent chaos and drama. Some individuals carry storms with them. Wherever they go, conflict follows. There is always a new enemy, a new crisis, a new scandal. If someone thrives on chaos, they will eventually pull you into it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily not to become like those who act unjustly. If you stay too close to constant negativity, you risk normalizing it. Protecting your peace is not weakness, it is wisdom. Another powerful sign is when you must shrink yourself to be accepted. You censor your opinions. You dim your ambitions. You soften your standards. You pretend to agree just to avoid confrontation. That is not harmony. That is self-erasure. Stoicism teaches self-possession, being rooted in your principles regardless of external pressure. If you cannot be authentic without punishment, the environment is not healthy. A relationship that requires you to betray yourself is too expensive. Now understand something important. Cutting ties does not mean hatred. It does not mean revenge. It does not mean public announcements or dramatic exits. Often, it simply means distance, silence, reduced access, energy redirected toward people who uplift rather than drain. The Stoic approach is calm and deliberate. No shouting, no bitterness. Just clarity. You do not need everyone to understand your decision. You need to understand it. Sometimes love from a distance is the healthiest option available. And yes, this includes family. Family can be sacred, but sacred does not mean untouchable. If the relationship consistently violates your mental health, your values, and your peace, stepping back can be an act of self-respect. Remember, you are responsible for your character, not for managing everyone else's emotions. When you tolerate constant harm in the name of loyalty, you teach yourself that your well-being is secondary, and that belief will follow you into every area of life. Here is the truth many are afraid to say. Access to you is a privilege. Your time is finite. Your energy is limited. Your attention is powerful. Give these resources to those who honor them. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort to strengthen themselves, but they did not practice voluntary emotional destruction. Hardship builds character. Toxicity destroys it. There is a difference. If this message resonates with you, take a moment right now and subscribe to this channel. We are building a community of individuals who refuse to be emotionally manipulated, who refuse to live in weakness, and who choose discipline over drama. Join us and strengthen your mind with every video. Now let's go deeper. When you cut ties, you may feel guilt. That is normal, especially in cultures or families where loyalty is emphasized above all else. But ask yourself this: is loyalty still noble when it demands your self-destruction? Stoicism reminds us to act according to reason, not impulse, not fear, not social pressure. Reason asks, is this relationship helping me grow in virtue? Is this relationship aligned with who I am becoming? Is this relationship reciprocal? If the answer is consistently no, the path becomes clear. Detachment is not cruelty, it is maturity. You can wish someone well without allowing them unlimited access to your life. You can forgive without reconnecting. You can love without tolerating abuse. And when you create space, something powerful happens. You rediscover yourself. Your thoughts become clearer. Your discipline becomes stronger. Your confidence begins to rebuild. Because you are no longer fighting unnecessary battles. The Stoics believed we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Often, the fear of cutting ties is worse than the act itself. You imagine backlash. You imagine judgment. You imagine loneliness. But what if peace is waiting on the other side? What if clarity is waiting? What if strength is waiting? You are allowed to choose environments that support your evolution. You are allowed to protect your inner citadel. You are allowed to outgrow people, not with arrogance, not with cruelty, but with calm certainty. If you've made it this far, it means this message spoke to something inside you. Do not ignore that voice. And if you want more content that challenges your mindset, strengthens your discipline, and helps you navigate life with stoic resilience, subscribe to this channel now. Become part of a movement dedicated to mental toughness and self-mastery. Because at the end of the day, Stoicism is not about coldness. It is about clarity. It is about protecting your character. It is about choosing virtue over emotional chaos. And sometimes, the most stoic decision you can make is to walk away, quietly, confidently, and without apology. Your peace is worth it. Your growth is worth it. And your future self will thank you. Stoicism is not passive. It is not about silently enduring everything. It is about choosing what deserves your energy and what does not. As Epictetus taught, you must distinguish between what is within your control and what is not. You cannot control how others behave, but you can control the access they have to your life. When you begin distancing yourself, expect resistance. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries will not celebrate your new discipline. They may accuse you of arrogance. They may say you have changed. They may try to provoke you emotionally so you return to your old patterns. Remain calm. You are not responsible for their comfort when your comfort was never protected. This is where inner discipline becomes crucial. Marcus Aurelius wrote reminders to himself daily about remaining steady in the face of difficult people. He understood that some individuals act from ignorance, insecurity, or selfishness, but understanding their flaws did not mean surrendering to them. Compassion does not require proximity. You can understand someone and still choose distance. You can forgive someone and still remove access. That is strength. One of the biggest fears people face when cutting ties is loneliness. The mind whispers, "What if I end up alone?" But Stoicism teaches that it is better to stand alone in virtue than to sit in company that corrupts your peace. Temporary loneliness is cleaner than constant disrespect. And often, when you create space, you allow healthier connections to enter. You raise your standards. You become more selective. You stop entertaining behavior that once felt normal. Silence becomes your shield. Distance becomes your strategy. Growth becomes your focus. Remember what Seneca warned about the influence of those around us. He cautioned that we become like the company we keep. If you remain surrounded by negativity, eventually your thinking shifts, your standards lower, your discipline weakens. Environment shapes identity. So choose your environment carefully. Another important principle is emotional detachment. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop reacting impulsively. When someone tries to provoke you, your calm becomes your power. When they expect drama, give them composure. When they expect emotional chaos, give them silence. The strongest response is often no response. And here is something most people never realize. You do not need closure from everyone. Waiting for apologies that may never come keeps you emotionally tied to the situation. Stoicism teaches self-closure. You decide when enough is enough. You decide when your peace matters more than explanation. Never beg for understanding. Never chase validation. Never explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. Sometimes silence is the most dignified answer. If you are still watching, this message is for you specifically. You are not weak for feeling conflicted. You are not cruel for considering distance. You are growing, and growth requires pruning. Even in nature, healthy trees require cutting away dead branches to thrive. You are allowed to prune your circle. You are allowed to prioritize your mental health. You are allowed to choose virtue over attachment. And if this content is strengthening your mindset, subscribe right now and become part of this Stoic movement. This channel exists to help you develop discipline, emotional resilience, and unshakable inner peace. Join us and continue building your inner fortress. Now ask yourself, who consistently respects my boundaries? Who celebrates my growth? Who supports my discipline? Who brings calm rather than chaos? Invest in those people. Limit the rest. Your life is too short to spend it managing avoidable dysfunction. At the end of the day, Stoicism is about living in alignment with reason and virtue. It is about protecting your character above all else. Relationships are important, but not at the cost of your integrity, stability, and self-respect. When you walk away from toxicity, you are not losing people. You are gaining clarity. You are gaining strength. You are gaining peace. And peace is priceless. So if any of these 8 signs reflect your current reality, take them seriously, reflect deeply, act calmly, and move forward confidently. Because sometimes the most stoic decision you can make is not to fight harder but to walk away wiser. When you step away from unhealthy relationships, there is often a quiet space that follows. At first, that silence can feel uncomfortable. You may notice how much of your mental energy was previously consumed by conflict, tension, overthinking, and emotional management. Now there is stillness. Do not rush to fill it. This is where real stoic growth begins. Marcus Aurelius often reflected in solitude, not because he hated people, but because solitude clarifies the mind. When you are no longer reacting constantly, you begin responding intentionally. You begin asking better questions. What standards will I set now? What behavior will I never tolerate again? What kind of people do I want around me? This is how you transform pain into wisdom. Understand something important. When you cut ties, you are not just removing people, you are breaking patterns. Patterns of overgiving, patterns of tolerating disrespect, patterns of ignoring red flags because you feared confrontation. And breaking patterns requires discipline. You may feel tempted to reconnect when loneliness strikes. You may romanticize the good memories. The mind has a way of editing out the pain and replaying only the highlights. This is why Stoicism emphasizes rational reflection. Remember the full truth, not just the comfortable parts. If the relationship consistently damaged your peace, your growth, or your dignity, nostalgia should not override clarity. As Epictetus taught, external attachments are temporary. What truly belongs to you is your character. If staying connected to someone threatens your character, then detachment is not loss, it is protection. Another phase you may experience is external pressure. Friends may say, "But that's your family." Relatives may say, "You only get one family." Others may say, "Just forgive and move on." But forgiveness does not require access. You can release resentment internally without re-entering harmful dynamics. Stoicism is about internal peace first. Reconciliation is optional. Self-respect is not. Now let's talk about emotional strength. When you choose distance calmly, without insults, without drama, without revenge, you demonstrate true power. Anyone can explode in anger. Few can detach with composure. This is where your silence becomes your superpower. No explanations, no arguments, no emotional performances, just quiet consistency. And here is the truth many avoid. Some people will never understand your decision. They will create their own narrative. They may label you cold, arrogant, or ungrateful. Let them. You are not responsible for managing the story they tell themselves. As Seneca emphasized, we suffer more from worrying about opinions than from reality itself. Other people's judgments are outside your control. Your actions are not. Focus on what you can control. Your reactions, your standards, your environment, your discipline. Over time, something powerful happens when you remove toxic influences. Your thinking sharpens. Your confidence stabilizes. Your emotions become less volatile. You begin operating from intention rather than reaction. That is Stoic strength. And once you experience that clarity, you will never again accept chaos disguised as connection. If you are still here, this message is reaching the right mind. Take a moment right now and subscribe to this channel. We are building a disciplined community focused on strength, resilience, and self-mastery. Every video is designed to help you protect your peace and develop unshakable mental toughness. Now reflect again on the 8 signs we discussed. Disrespected boundaries, manipulation through guilt, humiliation disguised as humor, emotional exhaustion, repeated betrayal, resistance to your growth, constant chaos, shrinking yourself to fit in. If even one of these patterns is persistent in your life, do not ignore it. Stoicism is not about enduring unnecessary suffering. It is about choosing virtue and rational action. And sometimes, rational action means stepping back, quietly, confidently, without hatred, without announcement, just clarity. Because at the end of your life, You will not regret distancing yourself from toxicity. You will regret the years you tolerated what you knew was wrong. Guard your inner citadel. Protect your peace. Strengthen your discipline. And remember, you are not obligated to sacrifice your well-being for proximity. You are not required to maintain access for those who misuse it. You are allowed to evolve. And if that evolution requires distance, then let distance be your teacher. Walk away not in anger but in strength. And continue becoming the person you were meant to be. Before we begin, understand this. Sometimes the strongest move is not confrontation. It is separation. Stoic philosophy is not about suppressing emotion. It is about mastering it. Think of the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, men who valued virtue over attachment, discipline over drama, and inner peace over social approval. If you want more deep Stoic wisdom that strengthens your mindset and sharpens your discipline, make sure you subscribe to this channel right now. Join a growing community committed to self-mastery and emotional strength. Now let's break this down clearly. Here are the 8 signs you should cut ties, even with family or friends. Stoic philosophy 1. Persistent disrespect of your boundaries. If someone repeatedly ignores your limits, your time, your space, your values, that is not love, that is entitlement. Stoicism teaches self-respect. When your no is treated as a challenge instead of a decision, the relationship becomes unsafe. Boundaries are not aggression, they are self-preservation. If you constantly have to defend your limits, you are not in a relationship of mutual respect, even if they are family, even if they say that's just how I am. Repeated boundary violations are a clear signal that your well-being is not being considered. 2. Manipulation through guilt and obligation. Some people don't shout. They don't threaten. They manipulate through guilt. They remind you of everything they've done for you. They make you feel selfish for wanting independence, but Stoicism reminds us that virtue must be chosen freely, not forced through shame. If someone keeps you close by making you feel indebted or morally trapped, that bond is built on control, not love. Gratitude does not require surrendering your peace. If guilt is the glue holding the relationship together, it may be time to let go. 3. Disrespect disguised as jokes. Pay attention to repeated jokes that attack your confidence, your goals, or your personality. When someone constantly belittles you and hides behind humor, they are slowly eroding your self-worth. A true ally protects your dignity. Stoicism teaches you to guard your inner citadel, your mental fortress. If someone repeatedly undermines your confidence, you cannot thrive around them. Humor should connect, not humiliate. If the laughter always comes at your expense, that is not friendship. 4. Emotional exhaustion after every interaction. Your body tells the truth before your pride does. If every interaction leaves you drained, anxious, or heavy, that pattern matters. Healthy relationships energize you or at least leave you stable. Toxic ones deplete you. Stoics value tranquility, a steady, undisturbed mind. If someone constantly brings chaos, arguments, and emotional storms into your life, you must ask yourself whether their access to you is costing too much. Peace is not a luxury, it is a necessity. 5. Repeated betrayal of trust. Trust can survive mistakes. It cannot survive patterns. If someone repeatedly lies, spreads your secrets, or breaks promises, they are revealing their character. Stoicism is rooted in virtue, honesty, integrity, consistency. If those qualities are absent, attachment becomes dangerous. Loyalty without trust becomes self-deception. You are not required to keep giving opportunities to someone who has proven unreliable. Repeated betrayal is not an accident, it is a decision. 6. They resist your growth and discipline. When you start improving, waking up earlier, setting goals, becoming more disciplined, notice who reacts negatively. Some people prefer the version of you that was easier to control or less ambitious. They may mock your growth or accuse you of changing. But growth is the goal. Stoicism is about becoming stronger than your impulses and circumstances. If someone consistently discourages your evolution, they are aligned with your past, not your future. Not everyone is meant to grow with you. 7. Constant drama and chaos. Some individuals carry turmoil wherever they go. There is always conflict, gossip, and emotional instability surrounding them. Being close to constant drama normalizes it. Over time, you begin to lose your clarity. Stoicism values rational calmness. If a relationship consistently drags you into unnecessary conflict, you must evaluate whether staying connected is wise. Protecting your peace is not weakness, it is strategic strength. 8. You have to shrink yourself to be accepted. Perhaps the most dangerous sign is when you cannot be yourself. You censor your opinions. You hide your ambitions. You minimize your standards. You pretend to agree just to avoid tension. That is not harmony. That is self-erasure. Stoicism teaches self-possession, standing firmly in your values regardless of pressure. If acceptance requires you to betray yourself, the cost is too high. No relationship is worth losing your identity, nor reflect deeply. Cutting ties does not mean hatred. It does not mean revenge. It often means distance, clarity, and silent strength. The Stoic way is calm, not dramatic. You do not need public announcements. You do not need validation. You simply adjust access. Sometimes you forgive and still walk away. Sometimes you love from a distance. Sometimes the most disciplined act is detachment. If this message resonates with you, subscribe to this channel now. We are building a community focused on emotional intelligence, strength, and Stoic resilience. Every video is designed to help you protect your peace and sharpen your mindset. Remember this: access to you is a privilege. Your time is limited. Your energy is valuable. Choose wisely who receives it. And if walking away is what protects your character, then walk away, calmly, confidently, and without apology.